The Concrete Connection project acknowledges that the land this podcast was recorded and filmed on is the traditional lands of the Kaurna people, and we respect their spiritual relationship with their country. Welcome to the Concrete Connection project podcast, where we're out and about on every single street of the Adelaide CBD, creating and performing, raising money and awareness for mental health, and donating that money to charities that are supporting people that are struggling. And I'm out in the northeast corner of the city today, and I'm in the fabulous shop of Clarity Records with Laura and Matt Hovath. It's an honour to be in here and an honour to have you guys on the podcast.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah,
no worries. Well, I've got a lot of questions, and the more I did research about records and the sort of time period where we're at today of how actually important they are. But can you tell us a bit about the history of Clarity Records, please?
All right. So, basically, the idea started from back when I used to work in another independent record store on Vinyl Street called Big Star. Mm-hmm. And that was sort of coming to an end. It was a bit of a dark period for record stores and physical media in general at that period of time, around about 2010. Sales were on the decline. Stores were closing down all over the world, and unfortunately the store on Rundle Street that I worked at was getting ready to close its doors, and we were sort of weighing up what we wanted to do next. Laura was working a job already, a retail job in the city.
And it had always been our dream to sort of have our own shop. And so we were always kind of on the lookout being like, oh, wouldn't that be amazing to have our own shop, you know?
Yeah, and just from always being involved with the local music community from a very, very young age, I know it just felt like a natural progression to eventually have our own job one day. We've run record labels, we've played in bands, we've run distros at shows and stuff like that. So we decided to put everything we had into it and roll the dice. Because we could...
had nothing to lose. We were like, let's just go for it. Let's just try it. That was our attitude. We were kind of like, well, Matt's job is finishing up at the record shop he was in, and we know what not to do, what to do. I worked for a small business, and I was like, well, let's just try it. So we thought now or never kind of thing. And we were at that pretty fresh young age where we were kind of really excited, and we wanted to pull the carpet up of this dodgy old little bead shop and paint the walls and just have a crack, and just see what happened. And we were like, it might not work, it might work. We'll just have a go,
Well, was that were the people around you, well, if this is a declining industry, is this a bit of a risk at the time?
Yeah, perhaps, but they just saw our passion. We've always been involved with music and collecting vinyl and having that as part of our community, in the music community in Adelaide. So we just knew that if we just had a go at it, people would get behind it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and thankfully, I remember at that time, a lot of people said to us, usually I would say maybe don't do that, but because it's you guys, it makes sense. Because I think we had our because of how involved we are with the local music community and constantly, buying, selling, all of that sort of stuff. It just made sense to do
the right recipe at the right time.
Yeah, and everything else in the CBD had actually closed by then, so we were going to be the only independent record store in the city, and we could just from working at Big Star and from the little bit of selling online, I could see that there was still a strong interest in vinyl. People just couldn't get it, and I felt like if we could stock the right things, then we could have a real crack at it.
And that was around 15 years ago now?
Yeah, that's right.
Wow.
April 2010, we opened the doors for the first time, and we're still here 15 years later.
Oh, that's incredible. And then also to navigate through things like COVID and stuff like that as well. How was that?
We actually renovated Clarity and ended up knocking down a wall between the two retail spaces. The one next door to us had moved out, our neighbours. And so we were lucky enough to use that time and then knock the walls down and use it to renovate. So we painted, made a bit more space, and one of our customers made us our beautiful new racks. And yeah, like our friend Kerry came and painted a mural, and we decided to like expand our space and really invest in clarity. Yeah, so that's sort of what we used in that time, and we didn't actually close. And we found there was a bit of a shift in people supporting the music community by buying vinyl because they were staying home and they couldn't get out to shows. So they're like, oh, we'll do some online orders, we'll make sure that we're still popping into clarity when we can, in a safe way. And that's the way we navigated that, and it worked. And people were staying home and listening to more and more vinyl.
Yeah, I want to touch on, the actual listening of vinyl soon, because I think it's quite important to the podcast and to mental health, and I think there's some parallels that run with it. But yeah, so other branches of Clarity is also the festival, Day of Clarity. Is that still going?
It's there in spirit. Unfortunately, one of the bad things with COVID is that it did put a halt in it. We actually had a festival a festival booked for the first year of COVID, but unfortunately we had to cancel all of that. So I think 5 years we ran it for, and then it hasn't quite come out from that COVID period, mainly because the Crown and Anchor was a very big part of it all, unfortunately the Crown and Anchor is now closed for 2 years, or closing for 2 years. So we just have to wait and see what's going to happen there. But it's something that we do want to do, and we do still do little festivals here and there, maybe once a year sort of thing, but nothing to the scale that a Day of Clarity was, because that was a beast within itself.
There's some great lineups, and when something like COVID comes and takes the wind out of the sails, sometimes it's hard to get it going again.
Yeah, absolutely. And there are a lot of other festivals nowadays, like in a post sort of COVID time. I found that there's a lot more like festivals happening all the time, and I feel like we get very similar lineups and all those kind of festivals. And I think last year we did a 2-stage over at Rhino Room, and that was great. And it was more of a punk hardcore sort of focus, and made it sort of a little bit smaller, but we're still interested in doing that. Yeah, for sure. Maybe one day in the future.
Yep. Yeah, but I mean, also the space here has some live events, in which I was lucky to attend one most recently. But stuff happens here. Do you think it's important for a bricks and mortar shop front to be more than just the shop? Do you think it's important to have it as a bit of an event space as well?
Yeah, I think we're lucky to do that in our space. Like the way that we redesigned it and renovated it to become like that is a wonderful way to have people through. Like we've got Oscar the Wild coming through tomorrow night. They're doing a little acoustic set in here, and we're really looking forward to that. It's a nice way that we can give back to the community that supports us. Do you know what I mean? Like especially for bands that are putting out a physical format, bringing out a release, and it's a really nice way to celebrate,
Yeah, and I think above us is obviously the local music scene, and so if there's if we can play that small role in just providing a space that bands can or artists can play for free, then we personally, we don't charge anyone to do it, we don't take a cut or anything, we just open the doors for people to enjoy. And I personally remember as a kid going to bricks and mortar stores, record stores, to see my favorite bands do in stores and stuff, and because most venues at the time were 18 plus, I wouldn't have been able to see these bands. So it's important to engage with the youth and expose them to live music and creative types to get them started on their journey.
You just said something that was quite beautiful, actually. You said above us is the local music scene. So I love how you've put that above what you're doing here, because I think it's quite special what you're doing here. But thinking about supporting, the music scene that's around you was quite beautiful. So.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, and we would be nowhere without the local music scene. When we first opened the doors, it was essentially people from the local music scene who was coming through and buying music and supporting us. And without that support, we wouldn't be able to do what we do today, and we wouldn't have created what we created if it wasn't for wanting to continually invest within the music community.
Yeah, well, it's just from the few minutes that I've been sitting here, we're actually going why the store is operational, and there's been quite busy in here. Like the support of physical media opposed to just digital. What are the views on that for you guys at the moment?
So I feel like at the moment, like people, there's a bit of a cost of living crisis, and I feel like people are quite thoughtful about where their money goes these days, and it's very easy to get consumed within this whole digital world, like paying for subscriptions or streaming services or whatnot. I feel like people, if they're going to invest money, they want something physical, something to hold. They want an experience sort of thing. I think that's something that digital platforms can never take away. And that's, from like in regards to music, people buying records, taking the record out, taking out like the liner notes and having a full experience with it, dropping the needle on the record. And I think that's helped with the rise with, with digital, the whole digital versus physical media battle sort of thing. Digital definitely has its place. I'm not an anti-digital person, but physical media, like, you never get the same experience.
Oh, yeah, completely. Do you have something to add as well?
I was just going to say, there's a whole different experience of sitting down with the record, and you're taking the time to look at it. You're looking at the art, you're reading all the notes, you're looking at the whole package, and you've got to get up and turn it over. You've got to actually be quite mindful. And I think it's different to just chucking your headphones on and like just getting out and like listening to something on shuffle or whatever. It's a different experience.
Well, that's exactly what I've had written down here. I was doing a bit of research into the relationship between mental health and records, and vinyl in particular. And I know for me growing up, I didn't grow up in a vinyl era, but I would buy a CD, I would pull it out, I would put a CD on, I would go through all the lyrics, I would look at, producers, sound engineers, and marry those up to other albums. Oh, Rick Rubin produced both these albums, things like that. And now that I do have a decent record collection, there's a huge romance in pulling that album out, putting it down. You're not doing it just to cruise around, you're doing it for a purpose. And I think there's a real relationship with mental health and mindfulness of being, one of the things I've come to realize about doing this project is being present in moments. And being present, you put that record on, you are going through, you're looking at the artwork, you're looking at the credits, you're looking at the lyrics, you are getting up to turn it over, you're listening to the crackle, and there's a lot more of an emotional connection with a record as well, because it doesn't have that same compression that comes out of a digital product, of putting in your headphones and going for a run, or just putting things on in the car, and you really get to know song titles. It's something I think is lost as well in a playlist sort of era that we're in.
And I think we've got some customers with us who haven't ever gone into the vinyl realm. We might have young kids who can't afford like a $60, $70, $80 record, and they're coming in and buying a physical format of a CD now. And it's becoming more and more popular for the younger kids who maybe don't have the setup for a record, but they want to buy the CD. They want to hold it in their hands. They want to like look through the booklet. They want to listen to it how it's intended from the artist, track by track in the order that the artist has presented it to them. I think there's value in that, and I think that the kids are starting to sort of recognize that, and we've got like a whole new wave of younger people buying CDs too. It's actually quite cool.
Yeah, it's cool that CDs not as dead as maybe perhaps I'd thought, because they're not
they're back.
Yeah, driving with those CD wallets on your visor and stuff back in the day, and juggling CDs, trying to get them in the CD. I mean, they don't make cars with CD players anymore, so it is nice that that's coming back. And even cassettes too. I see a lot of people releasing their album on cassette. I think that's an interesting medium in which I hope to see come back. So I do love the cassette as well.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and there's a whole, like you're saying, like it's a whole escapism with it as well. Like you put on a whatever physical format you want to listen to, and I feel like with me personally, I just sort of get taken away, and just like I'm listening to this record, like everything in the that might be going wrong in my life, or anything I'm worried about, or work or whatever is just sort of like it just disappears for that time where I'm sort of concentrating on listening to the record, or for example, I put on a record the other day, and I hadn't listened to it since I was as a kid, and it was like a record that I'd like, it really influenced me on getting into certain types of music, and like it just took me way back, like to being young, and it was just like a moment that I had of happiness. That I was just like this has a special place in my heart. Yeah,
I think there's definitely there's a real romance to a record that it can't be replaced, and I think you're right. It does take you away. It's like putting on a record's nearly like looking into a bonfire or something like that. You just sort of mesmerised. It's a bit of a meditation really as well. So I think as I was saying, one thing I've learned about the project and mental health, and it's being present in those moments, present as you can with like your children or even with your work, or just putting that presence into whatever you're doing at the time. And I think relaxing with a record is a great aspect of it. Another aspect I found a lot of Reddit posts from people saying the community was such a big thing about records as well. There's Record Store Day, and there's a lot of meetups and things like that. And you saw from when you guys were serving a lot of regulars and things like that. Is there a big sense of community around records?
Absolutely. We have the best customers. Our customers are the sweetest people, and I find the more and more you get to know them, it's just lovely. The community that, even like on Record Store Day, we have these huge lines of people, and they're sitting out there with their picnic rugs and their deck chairs, and sometimes they can be out there for a ridiculous amount of time, and they all get to know each other, and there's like a level of respect as well. Like if someone wants a certain record and they're trying to collect all the records of a certain colour or whatever, they all sort of talk, and it's really lovely. In store, you sort of see people connecting as well, and every now and then I'll overhear people talking, and I'll be like, oh, that's cute, like old mates getting along with her, and it's really lovely seeing all our regular customers all the time. It's beautiful.
And just say the vinyl community in general, everyone, especially in a place like Adelaide, you start to get to know everyone. Like, for example, I went to a record fair on the weekend, and I felt like 90% of the time was just people, like me talking to people that we bump into there, and 10% flicking through records. And it's definitely a big social thing, worldwide as well as like here in Adelaide, sort of thing. So it's great. Like there's definitely like a community all around it.
Because the second-hand record. There'd be trading, there'd be swapping, there'd be, it would be quite large. I think it would be, it's great.
And we have regular customers who visit us like weekly or every couple of days, and we have people who have been shopping with us for like a decade, and sometimes these people, maybe music is their only interest, and we can hang out with them, we can have a chat. So we've got a chap who visits us every week, and it could be an hour. And
for some people, it's their only connection, like you were saying, to other people. Like it's their way of connecting with other people.
I think I think it's great. And one thing I was just thinking about before, we were just about to set up and then a young girl had just come in, saved up all their money, and was getting her first sort of record player set up. And we were talking about younger kids with CDs and things. Do you think the age bracket of record appreciation is lowering?
Absolutely, and it's funny because that girl was actually, her father used to work at Big Star.
He was my first boss at Big Star and taught me everything I know. So without him, without him, I probably wouldn't have this place now. And I've been able to we've been able to serve his daughter and help her with her journey as well.
I think it is like that. Like it is a bit generational. Like I feel like he's definitely passed that down to her, and like we love doing collecting records with Ruby as well. Like she's got her own little collection at home. For anyone at home, that's our daughter, Ruby. And like it's beautiful seeing that being passed down. Like we don't just serve her dad, we serve her, and like we served her nan the other day. Like it's lovely. Like
and when people ask, so what sort of like is the age bracket for vinyl collectors or people who shop here, we just say like, there is no age bracket. It's literally like from the youngest of the young, parents even buying records for their newborns, all the way up to, people who've been collecting since, day dot sort of thing. And we just say it's a place for music lovers in general. Like, there's definitely no age brackets, there's no stereotypes, there's nothing. It's just
yeah, well, I know I've got he was probably 5 at the time when I got my record player, and I was luckily gifted a whole bunch, and one of them was the Sex Pistols. I see the patches and the posters, and the first thing when we came into the event the other night was like, oh, there's the Sex Pistols, and there's only 6 now. And then we both sit down, and it's like lying on our stomachs, pulling out the record, putting it on, looking at it, and he loves a record and knows the fragility of it as well. It's not just where's your phone, Dad, and put on, grab a phone and put on a song. It's like, oh, this is done with care and consideration.
Yeah.
Now, how hard is it? I'm not sure if you'd know this question, but how hard is it to get a record made for yourself these days?
We've actually just had a record pressed, actually, that we're really releasing today on Clarity Records. Like, we're actually a label as well. And Matt's band has released records as well. Did you want to talk them through?
Yeah, so the process these days is actually quite simple. There's a couple of pressing plants in Australia. Just basically send over your music, send over the artwork, and they do it all for you. It was. I remember the first time I ever did it, it was pretty daunting because the process with doing CDs was so easy. Like, they'd eventually, you send up all your stuff, and I guess pretty similar with vinyl, and eventually the boxes would rock up. But for some reason there was always something daunting about doing it doing it on vinyl. Oh, that's right, because most of the Australian pressing plants had actually closed down when I started pressing on vinyl, so we had to do it overseas, and it's like, well, how do I, even begin communicating with, like, how do I find these places? And and now, we've got to, now that they've, with the vinyl boom, as they say, there's been more records being pressed, more plants being opened, and it's...
Because it used to be that you'd have to order a minimum quantity of like a huge amount. And so nowadays you can sort of get a smaller run pressed, and it makes it more accessible for smaller bands that maybe don't have the budget to do like a huge pressing. So now we can just do like a smaller run, and it feels really special to have that, especially if you're like a local band that wants to put out on vinyl. I encourage people like just to have a crack at it, research it. There's some great people out there pressing records in Australia too.
Yeah, well, definitely. If you do find a local band that is selling physical merchandise, definitely get behind that, because even it might be expensive to make vinyl. I think if you're purchasing that from a local artist, that's going to be far better than to even 10,000 streams digitally, I think.
And I think as an artist, you owe it to yourself to do a physical release. I know I feel incomplete if something just gets released digitally, being able to put everything into a physical medium, so your whole creative process is there in front of you. You can hold it and you can touch it, and other people can enjoy it. It's no better reward as an artist,
and even to give something for yourself, for your family, to have, even for your own archives, I think is really rewarding and really beneficial to your own mental health, and to achieve something, to hold it intangible is, I think a lot better than just having it on your phone or something like that.
Yeah,
and as you said, I'm not dissing the digital as well, but I think there's something more heartwarming about the physical.
And I think, like, again, nothing against digital. I love digital. It's easy to distribute, send people links of your music. But I feel like, everything's digital these days. It just gets lost in the sea of everything else. So, people go to a record store and see something, like see your band's record on the shelf and stuff. It's gives them an opportunity to pick it up and, spend time with it.
Well, can we plug the record that's come out today?
Sure. It's a local band called Placement. If you're into bands like Sonic Youth or Dry Cleaning, they're an awesome band. The album's called Insect, and I actually had the privilege of spending I think 8 days in the studio with them to help them produce the record as well. And it's a great record. Yeah.
And you can pick it up at Clarity Record.
Clarity Records,
That's
Pulteney
it.
Street in Adelaide.
On Clarity Records, the label.
Yeah, well, that's awesome. Well, the podcast and the journey I'm on is about mental health. And I asked this to all the guests, what do the words mental health mean to you?
Looking after your noggin, like making sure that you're keeping your own thoughts and what's happening inside your head in check, like checking in, making sure that you're feeling happy and content, and that perhaps any anxieties or any worries that you've got in your head, making sure that you're looking after those and making sure you're meeting your own sort of necessary needs inside your mind to make sure that you're checking in, looking after yourself, maybe speaking to the people around you. But I think for mental health, for myself personally, it's about checking in each day and sort of thinking to myself, like, how am I feeling today? Is there anything that I need to do to make myself kind of feel content in my own body and in my own... I tend to get quite anxious, doing those things like looking after, taking my vitamins, drinking my water, speaking to Matt, connecting with my daughter and things like that, spending time to do the things that make me feel like me. I think those things are important. And connecting with the people around me, I guess. That's what mental health, I guess, means to me. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. I couldn't have said it any better. I think the only thing I'd probably add for myself personally is, just continually doing the things that I enjoy, like, whether that be playing music, listening to music, watching sports, I don't know, like, or even sometimes just sitting in silence, and spending time with the people I love most. Just the real simple things. They're the things I sort of focus on, and that's sort of, I think, important in most people's lives. Yeah.
We're really privileged that we get to work together. So, and I guess as a couple, like, it's really nice for us to be able to check in during the day and like, oh, how are you going? How are you feeling about this? And yeah, we're so lucky that we get to run our own business and be in a space where we can listen to music all day. And I feel really lucky to be able to do that, because it definitely grounds me and makes me feel happy, I guess. Yeah.
And be surrounded by other good people as well.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We've got a great team here. So we've got Lara, Talia and Sam. Sam's working today. He's just over here.
He's doing a great job there.
Yeah, we're so lucky that we get to work with such legends as well.
Yeah. Oh, that's perfect. Now, what are some of your favourite records?
So
I know that can change all the time.
all the time.
Yeah.
So Propaganda have their whole catalogue is great, but Supporting Cast is probably my favourite record from theirs. I listen to a lot of pop, I listen to a lot of rock, I listen to punk stuff, hardcore stuff. I listen to a lot of like things all the time, like different changes every week. But that's
perhaps
probably
a lot of Taylor Swift influenced by your daughter.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yep.
I'm not a closed book with that. Like, I sort of listen to everything. But yeah, Propaganda is probably a standout for me, and that's always been a shared love of Matt and I. But yeah, I listen to a lot of stuff.
Yeah, Propaganda is one of my favourite bands, as well as Fugazi and Minor Threat. They're the big three in my life. And I would say any of their albums, I guess if I had to pick one, Propaganda's Today's Empires, Tomorrow's Ashes is one album. Minor Threat, well, they never really did any albums, so I guess their complete discography. And Fugazi's The Argument is probably my favourite. So yeah.
Excellent.
And less Taylor Swift for him.
Well, I think it's, you did mention your daughter before. I think, with those influences, I think it's such a great parenting thing on your behalf, just to be so open and supportive of your daughter, who is a great Taylor Swift artist. And an artist in her own right, but she did a great concert here, which showcased a lot of Taylor's favourite tunes.
Thank you for coming. Yeah.
I enjoy seeing my daughter play Taylor Swift songs.
Yeah.
But she's we haven't tried to influence her too much with her listening, but we like to dabble, chuck in some you should listen to this, and now she loves AC/DC and all that. So anyway.
coming soon.
Yeah, well, we did buy tickets to take her to see probably her only ever AC/DC concert.
Yeah, perfect.
Yeah, looking forward to it. It's going to be awesome.
Well, thanks so much for letting me come and take over the stage here
Thanks
in
for coming.
Clarity Records.
Yeah.
I think I better get around and have a quick look to see if I can pick something up before I leave today.
Absolutely.
Thanks heaps for having us.
No, I really appreciate it. Thanks for tuning into the podcast. Cheers.